some of my friends had opposing views, which some of them I think have.
Right.
You can sit down and have a discussion about things, versus you got people that just resort to calling names all of a sudden because they have no basis for their opinion or position. It's just, well, you're a doo-doo head. Well, right. I'm spitting facts.
Right. It's not about like that you have a different opinion than I do. Now it just boils down to like you're a bad person now. It's not that you have a different opinion.
Yeah.
It's you're a bad person now.
Yeah.
Like you could be a great person, and that's another thing that I've like been trying to like convey on Facebook is like, even though you have a different opinion of mine, and maybe you might have these racist fucking like views or whatnot, like you're still a good person, but like I'm still trying to like convert you over to the light side from the dark side. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm not saying you're a bad person.
I don't even convert anymore.
You just have horrible.
I don't convert.
Nah, I don't.
I exchange ideas.
Try.
I exchange ideas.
Well, I guess
because after a while, if they're not listening to what I have to say, if they're trying to speak over me and they're not even listening to what I have to offer, hey, bye.
Well, you really have to consider, the old phrase that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I mean,
sure.
Consider our friend demographic, our age group, and even though it does vary just a little bit, you have your anomalies with either younger or older. Pretty much, we're all kind of in the same age range. So at this point, if you haven't realized what the fuck has been going on around you, you're really not going to.
Yeah.
Whether it's because of privilege or whether because you're afraid to say something, there's always going to be somebody that's scared to do the right thing.
And you know how hard it is to do the right thing?
It is hard to do the right thing.
And it's that way when you're, let's say you're amongst, let's say you're in a white supremacist group and you disagree with let's kill them all, and you're the dissenting opinion. Do you blurt out your dissenting opinion, or do you keep it to yourself and get around wait till I get out?
Right.
But I'm just to the point I'd like to exchange ideas. Why do you think that way? So before they get to the name calling, why do you think that way? Why do you, like we talked about that the ice cream song earlier?
Yeah.
There's a guy on my page saying it's not racist. And I'm like, he's like, explain to me why it is racist. Well, here's 9 different points that I just laid on him.
I feel like the first one was like the first word of that song is N-word, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
racist.
I laid on this guy like 8 or 9 points. And then some other guy just basically said, you're a doo-doo head. So he attacked the doo-doo head, not me, because he can't say nothing to me.
Right.
But I'm like, let's just exchange ideas. Why do you think it's not racist?
But if they really haven't changed their ideas or their opinions about the way that society is heading, at least at the moment, they're not going to. They've been led blindly.
But you know why that they don't want to change their views? It's because they have not been adversely affected.
No, of course.
So
we kind of had a
let's
discussion about that earlier.
Let's say the guy who's the song's not racist gets yanked out of his car and bludgeoned by the police. Is he going to think differently about police brutality?
Of course he is.
So because he doesn't know anyone that he cares about, hasn't endured such an experience, he doesn't feel the same way.
Well, here's okay. So first of all, we are 3 crafty bastards. Of course, I'm B.Smith.
Oh, are we recording?
We are.
No, not yet.
I thought we were just talking.
Oh no, we're recording over here. So, like, I'm B.Smith, and of course to my right,
Mr. Classic.
And man, we just kind of jumped into it, man. Which I feel like what you're saying right now, or what you've just said previously, kind of factors into the counterculture or the cancel culture. Mm-hmm. So what you said was that people give it to me again. Give it to me word for word. What you just said.
I can't do that.
Oh come on! If you haven't been affected by racism,
adversely affected, then you're not really gonna care.
So here's the next point, and it goes into cancel culture. These people, every day, every single day for probably the last month, I have read a story about one different person. Maybe they didn't want to wear a mask in an Asian market, so they start going off on Asian people.
Saw that.
Maybe they didn't want to wear a mask in Costco, so they find the closest black person they can, and they start going off on that person because it's their fault, apparently, that they have to wear a mask. Or people getting the cops called on them for sitting in their car in their driveway at their home, Karens saying, why are you mowing your yard that way? A Karen called the cops on their neighbor because they mowed their lawn a certain way, and it's all on video, right? So we've gotten into this culture where these people, these folks, let's say, are feel like they need to call the cops on every single person next to them, especially of color, in order to try to make a point, in order to try to gain that advantage. I feel like it's to prove to themselves that they still have the advantage.
It's a power play,
right? However, the downside to that, and what directly ties into what you just said, is they don't understand it until they have been adversely affected by it, right? So the adverse effect of that is that your name gets out. The great thing about social media is anybody can find out who you are.
Yep.
Then anybody can find out because not because anybody else has shared your information, because you decided it was a great idea to constantly update your place of employment, to constantly update where you live, to constantly update your relationship status to the point where these people have all this information on you. So then they forward that information, or they forward that video in which you are being an asshole to your employer. And what do you expect your employer to do this day and age?
Especially when it doesn't represent their climate or culture at home.
I will commend, and I know that maybe half of it is through belief, and the other half is that they don't want to lose business. But I commend people that fire people that act like assholes on video. I commend them. Good, because it's not a representation of what you want. And good luck to the person that is acting like an a-hole on video to try and find another job after the fact.
That's gotta be difficult.
It's gotta be, because the evidence is right there. If you're on video, if you make the news, look, I'm reading this through the news. I'm not catching this on Facebook. I'm catching this in the news that I sit and read every day on lunch. Every day there's a new Karen. So if this makes the news, whether it's local, whether it's state, or whether it's national, now you have set yourself back. You've lost your job. Now you can't pay your mortgage. You can't take care of your kids. You lose your cars. Why? Because you decided it would be a great idea to be a dick on video. It's the truth. And now the way that this ties in is they have been adversely affected.
Yep.
So some of them have come out. Some of the Karens and Kens or whatever have come out and they've apologized. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know. I read one today. The guy was like blasting Asian people, and he was calling them all kinds of. He called an Indian person a sand, you know what, right? Because she asked him to wear a mask, and he said, "Oh man, I'm so sorry. I was drunk. I blacked out. I didn't know." But those are really your thoughts.
Those are your
thoughts.
Yeah.
I commend you to keeping that shit to yourself up till this point. But if you lose your job, you deserve to.
I think so.
Regardless of blackout status, man.
Why are you drunk, blacked out? That's public intox.
Well, it's public intox.
I'm just saying, if he wants to use that argument, which he's lying.
Right. Oh, sure.
That's your argument. You should be.
I saw the video. He
locked
was
up and arrested.
Drunk.
Wow.
He should be locked up and arrested.
PI.
And at what point do we say that, people that speak that way, or people that follow through? Just in Bloomington.
Yep.
That's the scary. I read that article in Bloomington, and I'm on the hunt for a firearm. If we're being honest.
On the hunt. Well, when they just
I know they did.
It's free licenses right now, so get it.
Yeah.
I've already got it.
You got it? What'd you get?
I've already got it. I went out with a friend, and we got I know it's a Ruger.
Nice.
But I still need a couple mags.
That's fair.
A couple mags, and then I think I'm okay.
So this is the reaction that's been prompted due to people's ignorance, even here in Indiana. Bloomington, you wouldn't think that something like that would happen in Bloomington.
Well, if you know the area.
Well, I understand you're a little further south, but Bloomington is IU University, or Indiana University.
Southern Indiana, period, is dangerous.
It's a little sketchy.
Mooresville, Canby. I forgot the name of the city they called the home of the KKK. I was in Greenwood, just south of Indianapolis, and my parents told me when they were younger they could not go to Greenwood when they were growing up.
Really?
Yeah. So I lived there for a little while before I moved up in Indianapolis when I was down there, and I didn't have any problems. But when I told my mom about it, and I even told my dad about it, they're like, "Yeah, we can't even go to Greenwood. When we were your age, we couldn't go to Greenwood."
Right. Which is, I mean, it's a scary thought to think that there's places that you cannot go. What did you just do right here?
I didn't touch it.
I mean, well, what the hell?
I didn't touch it.
I think it's gradually
There's
dropping.
there's something called I was gonna say there's something called gravity. Okay.
Well.
Okay. Maybe that's our next podcast is gravity. We're just shooting out a topic from the hitman. We just
right,
boom,
right.
gravity.
Just firing
Yes.
away. I didn't even know how we came on this, but I'm glad that it came up the way that it did. So cancel culture. What's your feelings on that?
Black,
white, or otherwise?
Is that a new term?
It certainly is.
It feels very new. So we're inventing terms about how we, I guess maybe for me it's how I deal with ignorance.
Right.
Because the person who is being dumb, ignorant, I don't want to listen to them. You cancel them out. You get rid of them. So when it comes to, we're talking, I guess, celebrities or athletes now, they are being canceled out. Or let's say Drew Brees when he made the comments about kneeling. Now we have Deshaun Jackson with the anti-Semitic comments. We've had other incidences where we've had athletes and celebrities, Mel Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
When they've said something really super duper negative, racist, or I'm going to say super negative, we're able to not pay attention to them so that they become irrelevant. We cancel them out of culture.
Right.
So that is actually powerful should everyone pay attention to that. So there's other, I don't know why certain actors or actresses, let's say Lindsay Lohan or, oh man, what's the other girl's name? Amanda Bynes. Britney Spears. Where are these people right now? They're not relevant like they used to be. They were super duper superstars. They were on the up and up, and boom, where are they now?
Well, okay, so I feel like there's a difference between the cancel culture and, unfortunately, in Hollywood, aging out is a thing.
True.
Now, I don't follow Britney Spears, but she's been in the news lately. So if she's in a news article, I read it because I want to know, did she do something crazy, or is she trying to make a comeback and she's doing shit in Vegas?
I did see her dancing the other day.
Right. And same with Lindsay Lohan. What kind of fucking train wreck did she get into that she made the national news?
She was such an amazing young actress, I thought. Right around the Mean Girls time, and if you even want to go back to the Parent Trap.
Right.
What happened between Mean Girls and the next few years? I mean, she aged like 10 or 15 years in like 2 months.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
She looked awful. So the drugs, the alcohol, the partying.
Rick James told you cocaine is a hell of a drug.
She's not much younger than us.
No, she's not.
And she looks a lot older than us.
Even in Machete, she was okay.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Relevance is important when you're in that business.
But so much more nowadays, people are either apologizing profusely to save their career, as far as Hollywood goes, or even Joe Schmo, who's CEO of Joe Schmo and Company, or Joe Schmo, that the lady that went off on that dude at Starbucks. Do you know that he raised like $100,000? Is that what I read? Was it $100,000?
I didn't follow.
Yeah, they started a GoFundMe because she went off on him because he said he wouldn't serve her without a mask. Right now, here's the entitlement part. Here's the problem. Right, so he refuses to serve her. She starts going berserk like Karen does, and she does this, does that, storms off, blah, blah, blah. She doesn't get her Starbucks, by the way. And all he did was say, hey, it's rules. If you're going to come in here, you got to wear a mask. Right? So she puts on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. She's trying to make him famous. She's trying to shame him. They turned that around. They started GoFundMe for this dude, a tip jar.
Wow.
Which ends up at $100,000 plus. I think it was $102,000. Now, she said, without her raising a stink, he would not be receiving that money, and she's going to sue him for some of it.
Why?
Because she's a bitch. There's no other term for it. There's no other way.
So, your nasty attitude helped me raise $100,000.
Right.
And you think you should get part of it because you were nasty.
Correct.
I would love to be in the court case for...
I'd love to be the judge. Bam.
I don't even want to be the judge. I want to hear, why do you think you should get any money?
Right.
Because of your attitude. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's getting you canceled out.
Right.
So it shouldn't even go to court.
So
who's going to be the dumb lawyer that prosecutes that?
I'm sure.
I can't imagine. Someone who's trying to make a name for themselves.
It'd have to be somebody that was like close to closing, because $100,000 ain't shit to a lawyer.
It's true.
You know what I mean? So then it just kind of goes to show. And my question, I was thinking about this earlier, is this like the final push before the election? Are people getting all their racism out just in case things don't go their way, and they don't have to dial it back at all?
No, I don't even want to think about the election and how it's going to be different, because I don't want the momentum to stop, because I think whoever gets in office, I don't know about the support for the movement. Because they're, in a sense, they're the head chief.
Yeah, and a politician is a politician. Let's just call him a liar, right? We'll say it. But as with any organization, the organization that you work for, the organization that I work for, or even like friends circles, whatever. Unfortunately, and I'm going to go ahead and say this, and this is going to be a very bold statement, and I'm not insinuating that anyone takes precedence over another, but there always is an alpha in a friend group, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even with friends, even with the people that you work with, even with the management that you deal with, even with this country, the attitude starts at the top and works its way down.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a poor attitude, you push your poor attitude onto others, and then in turn they have a poor attitude, they push their poor attitude onto others, and so on and so forth.
The proverbial shit runs downhill.
The shit always runs downhill. There's nothing proverbial about it. The shit runs downhill, right? So when you take a look at this country and kind of where we're at, and consider that the shit runs downhill, who's taking the shit?
We are.
No, they are.
Who's they?
They, politicians, government, so on and so forth, right?
It still affects us.
Of course it affects us, but the reason that it affects us is because it runs downhill. They're not getting shit on their hands.
Yeah.
We're getting shit on ours.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, I got way off subject. Cancel culture.
Let's bring it back.
Yeah, cancel culture. So, I feel like maybe the debate is that, do these people necessarily deserve it? Even though that we commend it, we feel like, hey, you know, you got what you paid for, you know, but do these people deserve to lose everything, or do they deserve the chance to apologize before losing everything? If you say it once and then you're like, oh man, I'm sorry, you get that little slap on the wrist. But if you say it again, then that's when, bam.
I disagree with totally abandoning, disregarding, excommunicating. I totally disagree with that, because I do believe in redemption.
Sure.
So I don't want to see someone necessarily lose their job or their way of life. There needs to be some sort of, I don't even know what the term I want to use for, you fix it.
Yeah.
Fix it. You got to fix this shitty attitude, these words that you've shit on everybody with. Whatever you did, fix it.
Right.
I don't need you to lose your job, but I'm not mad you did, because that snaps you in line.
Right.
Because whenever you get in trouble, there's certain ways to get in trouble that are going to be more effective.
Right.
And when you mess with someone's way of living, it's money, it's status, whatever you can do to alter their outlook, their daily outlook. Your car gets repossessed, your home gets repossessed, you lost your job, you can't buy food. whenever you're torn down that far, you tend to realize you need to do something differently.
Right.
And if that's the only thing I need to have happen to these people that make these type of not allegations, these type of things, like
these outbursts,
like Deshaun Jackson needs to do something different.
Right.
He has to. These Karens that we see every day that are snapping off on employees, or I don't want to wear a mask, or the dude at Walmart with that one. We've been doing something since 1776.
Ah, yeah.
Oh my God. So, does he need to lose his job? I don't wish anything bad on him like that, but you need to turn your shit around.
Right.
That's all I'm concerned about.
All right. Well, what else you got? I feel like we just went in on folks.
Like we were saying earlier, I don't have a lot. I know that baseball season is my favorite season. I know it's coming. I know the NFL season is talking about it.
Okay, now has
NBA
baseball agreed that they're going to play?
Yes. July 23rd, 24th is opening day.
Are they playing with or without fans?
I think it is without.
Really?
And that's heartbreaking because I love to sit in a stadium and watch baseball. But baseball is back anyway. So like I said, I'll watch any kind of baseball.
So now are they going to pump crowd noise in?
Yes.
Are they really?
Yes. If they can. I don't know if stadiums are built that way. NFL stadiums are, and I'm pointing at one like, yeah, back me up.
Throw a thumbs up. Cosign.
But I know that NFL stadiums have the capacity. I've never known baseball stadiums have the capacity because they've never needed it. So I don't know if there's...
But when has the NFL or the NHL or anybody ever in the NBA ever needed crowd noise pumped in?
They haven't. And what's weird is if you haven't watched any of the recent MMA fights, like there's one coming this weekend. If you've never watched one of those without the crowd, I hate to say it, I think it's better.
Really?
Because you get to hear the coaches yelling out the moves and strategies for their person to win. That's the kind of stuff I like to listen to. I don't need to hear Joe Blow, hey, knock him off his head. I don't need to hear that. I need to grab him under his taint and pull his arm, knee to the face. I need to hear that from the coach, and I want to see the player respond. They can hear that. I don't know if
is that a move?
I don't know. I'm making it up as I go.
Tank grab.
Apparently, I don't do MMA, but I just love to watch it. Okay, I love to see people
like
fight.
the word taint today.
Well,
it is or a taint.
Yeah, it is what it is. The word of the day.
Gosh, so it's taint. Oh my gosh.
But sports is coming back, but it's also got the impact of the COVID-19 epidemic, pandemic. The social distancing. I saw that something silly. At the end of football games last year, players would exchange jerseys.
Right.
They banned it this year.
They banned it?
They banned it today. Players, they're saying the 6 foot distancing, right? They're saying at the end of the game, you guys can crash and bang up for 40, 30, 45, whatever it is. But at the end of the game, whatever it is.
Okay.
You can't take your jersey off and give it to somebody. But you got to think about it. That's how you pass along the coronavirus.
So,
I don't know if they're getting sprayed down between plays or how that's going to happen.
So here's another interesting tidbit is that a lot of players have come out and said that if they are going to be forced to wear face masks,
I saw that,
attached to their helmets, that they're not going to play, that they can barely breathe anyway, and then they're going to further inhibit their breathing.
The one that I saw wasn't that bad. They almost looked like they had like a glass or some type of covering across where there's usually like the face mask where
right.
That was filled in, so you can breathe out from up under it because you have to breathe it. You're huffing and puffing 100 yards. I don't want something covering my mouth. I'd pass out in like 30 yards. Okay.
Right.
So I can imagine these world-class athletes are going to be able to breathe. I don't think they're going to be wearing the mask that we're wearing out in public right now. I don't think they're going to be wearing that. It's you're right. It's too cumbersome.
So do you think the NFL will play, or do you think that we're pushing off the inevitable by saying we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Also, I read that Godell said that they were going to put 20% of everyone's income into an escrow account to help push the NFL through the 2020 season due to COVID-19.
Well, they're gonna need it.
Or they just could not play.
Well, here's the thing, and it bothered me I read this too, that they have just accepted that a certain number of players are going to get COVID-19, and they're going to play anyway. So that's total disregard for their health.
Which is kind of
That's gross.
That's everything from national sports to
College
schooling.
sports.
I mean,
College sports,
we're
same
getting,
thing.
Yeah, we're getting the Big Ten the Big Ten announced today that they're only going to play a divisional schedule.
Yep.
So if the games that are with teams outside of the division of the Big Ten, those games will be canceled.
I'm almost to the point where I love sports, and anyone who knows me knows I love sports. Sports is a part of my DNA. So to go a year without sports is painful, but for the sake of the health of the athletes, I'm actually for not playing.
So here's the next question: should schools resume in August?
I think that when they were doing the online learning, the e-learning, you got to stick with the e-learning a little bit longer.
Yeah,
and I say that obviously because if you're at home, the less likelihood of spreading, contracting, shifting around this pandemic, and it's less likely. Now it sucks because when they started to open up some of these other states, there was a spike in positive cases.
There still is a spike. 35,000 people yesterday in the United States.
So as these other I called people negative Nancy's who were like, we're just gonna shut it down again. I'm like, stop being negative. We want to go outside and play. Now what they're saying is beginning to come to fruition.
Yeah.
So,
but it has to. It was too. This is what happens when you give people too much freedom too fast.
Oh, you mean those guys on the steps of that one courthouse, wherever they were, where they were with their assault rifles saying, "Open up the state." They got what they got.
Yeah,
okay?
But you know what? Michigan was defiant, and Michigan still is defiant in opening up. I just read actually earlier today that Grand Rapids, Michigan is a hotspot for coronavirus, and they have dialed back and started closing bars in anticipation of a spike, specifically in Grand Rapids, and then the spread throughout Michigan. Meanwhile, Texas and Florida, the two states that were like, Republic, fuck it, were like, hey man, go to the beaches. We don't give a shit. Enjoy the ocean. Come to the bars. Let's get drunk.
Yep.
You know what? I want to cut hair. I don't give a fuck what the government says. Right?
We don't need no masks.
And then guess what? Those are the two states,
got it.
as of last Friday, had to close their bars at noon because of the spikes in contracted cases of coronavirus.
Yeah.
So the people that didn't listen got exactly what they asked for.
Well, and that's the other thing. We're talking about movie theaters.
Yeah.
Movie theaters were supposed to be opened technically July 5th.
Right.
That week. So the state of Indiana on that 5-point plan, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We were supposed to open up if all of our cases were starting to go down. July 5th, the whole state was opened up like 100%, and there was a bit of a spike, and they extended it to the 17th, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another target date because we don't get any of the 10 caps.
Right.
We don't get the Three Rivers Festival.
We did get Rib Fest in August. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to save up some money just to go to that because I didn't get to go outside and do a lot. So yes, I will do Rib Fest. However,
I'm gonna get my ribs and go home though. For being honest, I don't want to be around all them people. I don't even like people that much anymore.
Well,
it's been nice, like being at home and like not really going out. I have had lunch with say suppliers twice in public. When me and my girlfriend decide that we're gonna go eat or we want to go get something to eat or we want to eat out, we go get it and we come back.
now I've gone to restaurants and the ones